Hello. Today we're going to walk you through the Millipore Sigma event box. We will show you how to access the site, view and search events, create a new event, and discuss what you should expect throughout the event process, all the way through returning your items back to the event center. To start off, it's important to note that you will access EventBox through the MLC. If your user profile has you set up as part of the North American team, you will automatically have access to the EventBox link at the top in your navigation bar. If you log into the MLC and you do not have access to EventBox and you are part of the North American team, you can use the Contact Us button over here at the top right to reach out to the Lit Center support team. That team will help provide you access to EventBox. To log into EventBox for the first time, you will click on the EventBox link, which will direct you straight to the home page. This application is set up with single sign-on, and it pulls from your MLC user profile to give you access to the same items and features as your MLC profile. When you first access the site, on the home page, you'll see a calendar view of all of the events that are currently active. These events include those created by your coworkers, as well as events that you've created for yourself. The goal with the collaboration calendar is to allow you to see for larger events what your teammates may be bringing to the event and to collaborate together to have your items shipped in one shipment under one event. When you hover over an event on the calendar view, it will give you a status pop-up. That brief event details pop-up tells you the name of the event, the assigned event code, who created the event, and the items that are included in the event. For the event that you see on my screen right now, this user included packaging rollout premiums to be shipped to their show. The bar that you see across the middle is what we call the event status bar. It contains the key 7 dates in any event that we process through EventBox. As you walk through the event creation process, which we'll do in a few minutes, based on the dates that you enter and your needs for the material, the reservation bar will create and show at the top for your review. The dates start with the reservation start date. This date is important to you as this is the date that your event will be locked down and go into processing mode at the event center. If you create your event in advance of the show to reserve your materials, you'll have the ability to go in and update or modify that event up until the reservation start date. You'll receive email notifications throughout the process as well. You'll receive an email when your event has been created, confirming that it's been received by the event team. You will then receive emails throughout the reservation period shown on the screen. You'll receive an email when your event goes into the reservation mode, which means at that point it's being picked and packed and prepared by the event fulfillment team. You'll receive a second notification when your event has shipped with the tracking so you can follow your package through FedEx. The next date in the bar is the estimated arrival date. This date is set by you based on when your materials must arrive. We then schedule the ship date to ensure the materials arrive on time. The next date is the event start date, which is also supplied by you. So when you plan to use those materials and when your event begins. The next date is your event end date. Events in EventBox can be single day shows or multi-day shows if you're exhibiting at a larger event. The event end date is what kicks off and schedules your estimated return date. We allow you a week and a half to get those items packed up and returned to us, but we recommend that you pack them up as you're putting them away from your show. Drop them off at FedEx at that time or give them to a dock where FedEx picks up daily. The reservation end date is when we plan to close your event. If your items are not received back by the end of the reservation end date, you might jeopardize one of your teammates using those same components available for their show. You will receive reminders from EventBox letting you know that we have not received your items and reminding you to send them back. We also track the FedEx numbers that are provided to you to return your materials so that we can tell and understand when those materials are in process and headed back to the event center. As a quick overview of your home page, your logo up here always brings you back to this calendar view, as well as your home button. If you want to see the events in a different order, you can click the list view option up here, which will provide you a listing of all of the events for a certain period of time, which is the last 6 months. You can use the filter button here to reduce the number of events that you see in the list view. So for example, if you want to see events that are scheduled for the month of January through the end of February, you can enter those dates and hit filter. That will then show you what has been submitted and is in processing, what is shipped, and what is closed. Here on this screen now, you'll see the event code that's been assigned to each one of the event names, the date that we plan to ship or have shipped it, when the materials are scheduled to arrive, and when that event begins. If you were the one that created the event, you'll have the ability to hit the action button and either view, edit, or delete the event. If you are in here and looking at a team member's event, you'll have the ability to view their event so that you can see all of the details that they've entered specific to that show. If you work with a specific team, one of the other features in the filter is to also reduce this to show only events created by your team. So if you are a member of research, you can also filter that down and see only the events created by the research team. This will allow you to understand what your team members are presenting at. To create a new event, you'll use the link at the top, Create New Event. When you click on that, you'll see an event setup screen that will show you this is a step-by-step process. Step 1, you select your items. You then enter your shipping details. You'll provide us any additional information about your event, and then you'll have an opportunity to review everything and make sure it is exactly as you want it before you submit it. It's important to note that the event box works very similar to a library where you reserve and check out the items. So if you have an event coming up and there's specific items that are important to you, we suggest that you reserve your items early because it does function on first come, first served basis. You can reserve your materials up to a year in advance of that event to ensure that they're available for you. And that will still allow your team members to use them before your event. To start your event setup, you will give us an event name. You'll select your business unit. You can enter your start date. And your end date. At this point, when you hit load available items, this will give you everything that is available within EventBox during your time period. If you have a specific product or workflow you will be presenting at your show or your event, you can select that from the drop-down box. What this will do is give you access and view to the items that are specific to that type of event, as well as general event items like table drapes, literature stands, and things like that. So if I was focusing specifically on a cell culture workflow at my event, I could put that product workflow in there, and it will then filter the results that I see below. We have a couple of different types of items available in EventBox. The first one available to you is an event kit. When you open up and start creating your event, you'll notice that we've got many kits available, which are a predetermined listing of items that might support a single type of event. So for the example, if I open the cell culture event, it tells you that this kit contains a listing of items recommended to support a cell culture event. At this point, it'll tell you what we recommend that you take. The check box here tells you if the item can or cannot be removed from the kit. So if you are selecting this kit, you're automatically going to get this banner. It cannot be returned. Same for the table drapes. We're automatically going to send you one, but if you don't need the second one, you can check that box off and only pick one. In regards to the table drapes, we do allow you to pick your colors. So if you have a certain theme that you're going for, we can make sure that those table drapes are sent in those colors for your event. This show also has a series of premium items that are available. You can then change the quantities if you feel you need more, or the kit creator can lock down the quantities if there is only a certain amount allowed per event. In the regards of this event as well, we have suggested literature from the MLC that we will send to your event at set quantities. One thing that's important to notice when you're looking at the items in Event Box is they do have an asterisk with "to be returned" if we are expecting that item to be used at your event and then sent back to the event center. Premium items, product samples, and literature do not get sent back to the event center. Those are to be used at your event, given out, and not returned. In the event of our sample testing scenario here, we're not going to add a kit to our event, but we will come down here to the item categories. And this is where you can select additional items to go to your event. So if we want to open up the banners, you can then scroll through the titles that are available. If you're having trouble reading them, you can click on the image, which will grow so that you can see what is actually displayed on those banners. This image function works for all of the images within Event Box. So once you find the banner that you think is most valuable for your event, you can enter the quantity that you want to put those in your cart. If we also want to bring a table drape, we can add those to the cart as well. At this point, the system is telling you how many of those are available. And you can see right now that the green table drape is not available during our time. If the event or if the table drape is being used at another event versus being out of commission for cleaning, you can click on the details button. And this will tell you what event is using the green table drape. If you click on the event, that'll take you to the details of who created it and allow you to potentially work with that person to get the green table drape if it is that important to you. The same goes for any of the banners if the titles are not available. You can always click the details link to see where that item is being used. We also have tabletop easel, and again, we're filtered down into that cell culture area, so we're only getting tabletops that are specific to that. You can also get accessories like literature stands, as well as some product displays. So once you have the items selected that you want for your event, you'll hit Save and Continue to proceed to the next step. The next step is the shipping details. And at this point, the event system will pull forward the information that you already entered as part of step 1 when selecting your item. So your event name will pull through, the start date and the end date will pull through as well. We also provide you 2 additional date fields to give us some more information so that we understand when your materials need to arrive. Many shows do not want their items to arrive too early. So if our event starts on 2/16, more than likely at that point, those materials cannot arrive before the 14th. So if we would put that they cannot arrive by the 14th and they must arrive by the 13th, that gives us a window at the fulfillment center to know when those items have to arrive so that they show up for your event on time. As the sales rep, you can choose to have the items shipped directly to your event location, or you can have the items shipped to your home address. We just ask that you tell us where we're sending them so that we know if it is a residential or commercial address. At this point, we can then select an address from our address book, which you'll have the ability to build as you start creating events. You can enter your new information. After you've entered your address, you'll have the option to save it to your address book for future use, or also make it your default address. If you do check to make this your default address, every time you come into the event center and you create an event, it will automatically have that address populated for you so that you don't have to complete it each time or select it from your address book. This is also where you'll enter any special instructions about your event. So if you need custom labels added, you can enter that information here, and the team will read that and make sure that the boxes are labeled or marked a specific way to your preference. If you're attending the event with a team member, this is also a place where you have an opportunity to add additional email addresses so that they receive the same notifications about the event that you receive. The last part about setting up your shipping details is we have a question. Could there be prescribing clinicians or servicing healthcare professionals at your event? This question is driven around the Sunshine Act. If you answer yes to this question, we will automatically send a Sunshine Act easel and sign-in sheet for you to capture those details at your event. We'll hit Save and Continue to move to step 3, additional information. Additional information gives you the opportunity to communicate to the event team if you will be requesting additional literature, either through the Make Copies application in the MLC or through the MLC storefront. It's important that you check those boxes. The event team will then check both applications for orders that reference your event number and make sure that everything is then shipped in a single box to your end point. You can also put additional comments in here if there's anything you want to share with the team about the literature you're requesting. We'll then hit Save and Continue to move to step 4. You'll see up here at the top that we have a notification that's there when you first come to the page, letting you know that your event has not been submitted and is not reserved. So you can come out and create events and leave them in the draft status as long as you choose. However, just because you have those items in your event in draft status does not mean that they are reserved to your event. Your items are not reserved to your event until your event is submitted and an event code is created for that specific event. This review screen is also your first view at the reservation bar that's been created for your event. So based on the dates that we provided, this event will go into reservation start mode on February 9th. That means you will have up until February 9th to access the event box, continue to add or remove items, or work with other team members to determine if there's something you should add to support their messaging. It will also tell you the date that it's expected to ship so that you can be on the lookout for tracking, when the box should arrive, the start date that you provided, the end date, when we expect them to be returned, and when everything should be cleaned and checked back into inventory. This also has any of the special instructions that you've included. It's listed a note for the fulfillment team to know that you've requested additional collateral so that we can locate that and include it with your shipment. And it shows you the items that have been added to your event. This little image here is something that's telling you that that item has to be returned to the event box. So it's important to note that when you receive your order shipment notification, it will include instructions on how to get your items back to the event center. Any of the items that contain this icon must be returned to the event center. If they are not returned, damaged, or they go missing, your cost center will be charged for the full value of that item to replace it. You'll notice that we also said the prescribing clinicians would be there. So we're automatically, again, including that Sunshine Act and the sign-in sheet. If you want to click on this link here, it'll explain the items that are being included and how they should be used. At this point, if everything looks good, you can go ahead and hit the Submit Event button, which will then assign your code. You can also use the comments tool over here to communicate with the event staff. When you communicate with the event staff, it'll send a notification to them via email. When they respond to you in the event tool, all of that communication will be saved here in the comments section. However, upon their response, you'll receive an email notification letting you know that someone has responded within your event. You can also then see the history of your event at any time. So as the event support team comes in and modifies things within your event, you'll be able to see what they are doing. In many instances, the event support team, based on the number of days in transit, may come in and change the ship date to either ship earlier or later than this specific date to ensure that the items are arriving by the date that we say they'll arrive by. At this point, you can go back to the home page, and your event that you've created will now be added to the calendar view. Here's our 2 testing events. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that this overview of creating events and reviewing events will help you in the future as you begin to use EventBox. Again, if you have any questions at all, you can reach out to the Lit Center support team or download the user guide at the top of EventBox to walk you through this process step by step as well. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.